Hey YouTube, Brian's Garage here with another quick repair. It's the 2005 Jeep Liberty that I had in a previous video where I tore the dash out and replaced the heater core. It's actually my sister-in-law's vehicle, and it's kind of scary what happened here. The control arm, as you can see, just kind of gave away. So luckily we were camping, and her and her boyfriend went driving around and called us and said there's something wrong with the Jeep. So when I showed up here, that control arm broke. This side, you can see I got the new one in there. It snapped. So what I did was, it has a receiver hitch on here, and I stuck a ratchet strap around here, put the hooks in here, tightened it up, and ran a ratchet strap from here up to the holes on the frame up there, just to stabilize the axle so we could get it back to the campsite. You know, if this happens to you, that's one way to get it. Really low speeds. I do not recommend trying to do anything like that and take it down the highway. So the control arm looks like it just failed because of rust. And you can see the new one here is a lot sturdier. That's the brand, is Precision Control Arms, and that's the part number. This looks like a factory fuck up, I guess you can say, just in design. If you look here, you can kind of see how it rusted away there. This hole, and it has two holes for drainage, it looks like. And what happens with that is, well, dirt's going to pile up in this pipe here, and road salt and stuff like that, and it's going to eat away at the paint and eventually the metal inside here, because just a crappy design, you know. Looks like there's a hole on top here, which would be another flaw. You know, dirt would get in there. Nope, it's just rusting really bad. This one's actually cracking, as you can see. I don't know if you can see that. So, but on top here, I can almost shove my finger through the metal. So if you have a Jeep Liberty, I highly recommend you check out your control arms, rear lower control arms in the back. This looks to be a lot better design. It still has your drainage hole there, but you can see right through there. So just by looking at this thing, you can see traveling down the highway and stuff, when it's raining or water, it looks like the dirt won't pile up in there and cause rusting issues. And if this part does start rusting, you have a lot more metal here to hold it. Luckily this happened at, like I said, she was off-roading at a slow speed, and when this snapped, luckily it wasn't on the highway, or it could have been serious. Just a lot stronger, better part. What I would do is, if you have a Jeep Liberty, I would definitely look, because it looks like it started kind of rusting here, and so highly recommended you look at this. I don't want to see anybody going down the highway when something like this happens. So now we'll get into the replacement here. This would be 21 mil wrench, ratchet, whatever you have to get this off. What I would start with though is I jack the vehicle up, put it on the jack stands, and then I left my jack here to support the axle, and I loosen all these bolts. Now these, I would loosen these on the sway bar up here. You got two 18 millimeter bolts there. And another design flaw here is the shock. So when you go to take this one, it's a 21 mil, the bolts are actually facing this way, as you can see right here. So what you need to do is, I would probably loosen those two 18s first on both sides, and then I would take here is a 15 millimeter wrench you're going to need and an 18 millimeter socket for your impact. You actually have to take the shock off to be able to slide this bolt for the control arm out. So that way it doesn't hit that. Drop your shock down, loosen those out and pound them out with the hammer, or stick a wrench on the end and pound on the wrench to get those out. Same on the other side here. As you can see, this one I left in to show you. That hits that. That's 18 mil on this side, I believe. So you're going to need a, nope, that's 21. But you'll need a 21 millimeter wrench, 21 millimeter socket, 15 millimeter wrench, 18, and 18 with the ratchet for that, and that's 21. Now another issue that I ran into is the bolt comes from the inside here. So I actually had to lower the axle. You want to leave your bolts in, you don't want to take your control arms out and try lowering the axle, because that'd be kind of like squeezing a pen spring. You know, it's going to want to pop out sideways, so you want to leave as much of this together as you can if you're going to remove this jack. So I lowered the jack and actually jacked the muffler up. You can stick a board on top of your jack there so you don't poke a hole or dent your muffler. So I actually jacked the muffler up and I pounded that in there, and I left that in there so when I went to jack it up, the axle wasn't trying to come back on me. So, but now that I have it jacked up, I can actually pull this out, and you see the axle kicked back a little bit. So, pain in the ass job, just because the extra things you have to remove to do it. But overall, not too bad. Just a lot of design flaws, I guess, with how their bolts are going in and having to remove other items to get to things, you know. But if you do mechanics, get used to it. You might have to take 10 things off to just replace one. So 21 millimeters on the control arm itself, 15, 18, take the shock out so you can get that out, and then 2 18s on the top. And then you'll have a nice new control arm. But I highly recommend to any of you that have a Jeep Liberty that you check these out. You know, the one that's still hanging on there, I just pushed on the top and my finger went right into it. So stay safe, like and subscribe. Thank you.